Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Solutions Lab. I am Chris Phillips. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a fantastic training in store for you. Colleen and the rest of the Cisco folks are here to talk about Cisco's secure email cloud mailbox defense for Microsoft 365. I think we need an acronym for that. It's a little too long. We can workshop that later in
It's a
the
mouthful.
training. It's a mouthful. We can work. uh, but before we kind of get started, there's a couple housekeeping notes I wanna hit on. First of all, if you have any questions throughout this entire presentation, there is a Q&A window over to the right-hand side of the screen or left, depending on how you've configured your screen. Please feel free to ask any questions you have as soon as they come up. Like I said, we have about a 25-minute training that we're going to go through shortly. After that training is complete, Colleen, who you heard, and Rob will be with us to answer any questions and have a discussion about the product. So we're happy to hear your questions, happy to get your feedback on the training as well at that point to have an active discussion with you guys. There's also resources in the bottom left-hand corner or a little window. Go ahead, click on those, and it's got more information on cloud security, Cisco's cloud security for our mailbox defense for Microsoft 365. Again, need an acronym. We'll talk about that later. But without further ado, now that we've gotten everyone logged on and ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and start the training video. And like I said, after that, we'll be back with Colleen and Rob and have a discussion about cloud security. Thanks.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Colleen. Great to see you.
You too. You too. These are the times, huh? It's great to see everyone. Yeah, so the Cloud Mailbox platform, it's very new for Cisco, and I'm pretty excited about it because it's going to, I think, revolutionize the small business space. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think you're right on there. Cloud Mailbox was designed with the intention of making email security easy. And I never say make email security easy again because it's never really been easy until now. And that's a real hallmark to the product. The ease of use really translates into real dollar savings for our customers. And the simplicity translates into really easy for inexperienced people, particularly in small businesses, to utilize it and quickly manage their email security.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I'm especially so excited about because I'm very familiar with the enterprise product set, and I speak to partners all the time, and they were just asking for something that didn't require that high-level technical deployment, and then the licensing requirement. That definitely was a challenge. What are some other customer challenges that you see facing partners in security?
Yes, we in various researches from Forrester or others and from our own research, what we find is the top concern of any security organization is the evolving threats. No doubt about that. And that is always job one of any security company. But when you look down the list of other challenges, they start talking about the complexity of their environment, responding to new threats as they come in, the day-to-day activities and how time-consuming those can be. They also talk about the lack of visibility within their organization to influence getting more resources or communicating the effectiveness of what they're providing or the value of what they're providing up to their management in a way they can understand. And so when we put together Cloud Mailbox, we heard all these other challenges and made sure we built the product in a way to facilitate not just the detection, again, job one, but the administrator's challenges after that detection happens. If there's a false positive or false negative, they have to respond to those. And, no secret, every system has a false negative or a false positive. We strive to keep those to a minimum, but when they do come up, we want to give them ways to respond very quickly. And that's really the true strength of Cloud Mailbox.
That's a great answer. And also, so Cloud Mailbox will more than likely address some of these challenges, email challenges especially, because email is one of the #1 vectors of threats and breaches within this space. So you feel that the product will address a lot of these challenges, the visibility and ease of use?
Yes. So again, we have our best-in-class detection service in place that we've had for years and years with Cisco that people have come to know and trust. But then what we've added to the solution that you don't typically see is a lightning fast search of messages. And so the way it works is we journal every message coming in and render a verdict on that. Everything that we looked at has already been scanned by Microsoft's own gateway. And so we're seeing what they've let through. And so what we do is we catalog all the traffic so that when a false negative or false positive comes up, you can search on it very quickly, find the message, find out why we made the verdict that we did, because we provide lots of data to help people make that decision. And then they're able to quickly, with a few clicks of the mouse, remediate that message, whether they need to change its classification to neutral and allow it to be sent, or change it to a phishing designation, for example, and make sure that it's blocked in the future. And so, and then on top of all that, we have really good reporting, in particular, reporting about the value of what you're getting from Cloud Mailbox. We show you everything that Microsoft is missing that we detect, and we also show you things like who your top targets are in your company, or who might be forwarding phishes or spams along the way, and allow you to track those down as well. So lots of robust capabilities in there to address those challenges.
All of that sounds awesome. So let's try and discuss a little bit about positioning. How would you position this product in terms of, say, for instance, someone that's familiar with our enterprise level product? How would you position the product and sell it?
Yeah, so the difference between our enterprise product, the Cisco Secure Email Gateways, which is both a cloud and on-prem version, they're highly flexible and configurable, which is very helpful to the security professionals in tuning their email security. However, with flexibility comes complexity and challenges around that. Another challenge around a gateway is, in order just to test it, you have to reroute your existing traffic. And no one really wants to do that unless they have a lot of pain that they're trying to solve for. With Cloud Mailbox, we, as I mentioned before, we do our journaling after it's been through a gateway, and we don't act as a block to the mail coming into the system. And so one is able to trial it and use it without interfering with the mail flow. And so this makes it much easier to test and deploy, and it also makes it much easier to use on a day-to-day basis.
So you did mention the magic word, which is deployment. And for a lot of our partners, because we are in that small business space, a lot of our partners definitely are one-person shop. So there's very lean IT staffing. What would you say would be the setup time or deployment time frame that they're looking at?
That's a great question. I think there's two parts to that, to the answer. There's the setup time, and setup time is just getting yourself the account set up, logging in, and setting up policies. That process takes about 5 minutes, and you can take my word for it, or you can, one of my customers, our beta customer in early trials, we were pestering him to get it set up, and he finally did. And he says, I've been putting off because I thought it would take so long. It took me 5 minutes, and that was including reading all the instructions you provide. So the instructions are pretty short, obviously, but the setup time is even shorter. So 5 minutes to get it set up. The other part is the deployment. The deployment's a little different. You've got to run it and test it, and then decide you're going to go full production. So a test can last 1 or 2, 3, or 4 weeks, depending on the customer's comfort level. They can start by testing in what we call audit mode, where you have no impact on the email stream whatsoever, and then you can switch to what's called enforcement mode, where you can actually do a remediation. And so customers typically going to go through that progress to get to their full deployment. And that takes 2 to 4 weeks, I would say, for them to complete all that testing. But as far as the setup's concerned, literally 5 minutes.
I'll be issuing out your email just in case. So what are some of the main features in Cloud Mailbox? Because a lot of our partners, they're going to want to know what they're buying into. So I'm already sold, and I'm sure a lot of our partners, once they hear about this product and the ease of use, they're going to be sold as well. What are the key features that they can talk to their clients about when it comes to selling the product, or the selling factors?
First and foremost, the top feature is best-in-class security detection. We detect malware, where you got, ransomware is really a problem these days. You're hearing about that a lot in the news. We also are detecting Trojans, which could be a precursor to ransomware. We detect phishing, and phishing's targeted individuals or your business in particular. Those are particularly dangerous to the business, of course, because those are trying to defraud a business of money or credentials to get into their environment. So we protect against all those things using our longstanding detection capabilities. And among those, I mentioned the malware. That uses our threat grid solution. With Cloud Mailbox, threat grid submissions are unlimited. You can submit as many malwares or files as you need, and so there's no worry about dealing with a threat grid license as well. Next up is the lightning fast and robust search tools. We have these tools, and this sounds kind of trivial, but imagine, even in a small organization, you're talking about thousands and tens of thousands and millions of messages in larger organizations to search through. And in literally a sub-second time, we can do a focused search and get all the information that you're asking for. And then in those search results, we bring up the message, and we provide metadata about our detection. So what we learned about the message. And this is helpful when you get a false negative or positive to allow you to quickly decide what you're going to do with that message. And the next part is the remediation tools. It's literally just a few clicks of the mouse to do that remediation, and then you're on to your next thing. We also have a feature in the product called conversation tracking, and you can see, it allows you to see where a message was forwarded off to and how many other people it was delivered to, and track all those down if need be. So those are the quick list of the top things around Cloud Mailbox defense. Cloud Mailbox.
Okay, so the interesting fact you mentioned the remediation portion. So it's similar remediation to what partners would get if they bought into maybe AMP for endpoints, where you can get into the file trajectory portion and.
Okay. Very much so.
Okay.
Yes, very much so.
Awesome. That is great. So in terms of partners that we're looking to kind of vet for this, you would say that it would be anyone utilizing Office 365, correct?
It literally is just that. Whether they've got a Cisco secure email gateway or not, or they're using a competitor's gateway, and they're using those in front of Microsoft 365, this is a great complementary product to that. In fact, half of our sales are to cloud email security customers of Cisco.
Okay. And what has because I know that the product has been out for a few months or about a year now. What is the market's response thus far about?
Traction for the product's been amazing. We've been released for just under a year, and we're in our fourth quarter of sales. And in that period, we've managed to double our sales each quarter over quarter. And we will do that again this quarter as well. Also, what we're seeing is very high conversion rates when we have a qualified lead, on the order of about 40 to 50%, which is really phenomenal. And so if you've got a customer that's looking at this, you have a very good chance of closing it. And that's really the important part. And you can do it quickly. With the cloud solution, you can typically close a deal in under a month. In fact, our biggest deal so far for a major medical regional provider, they started the trial and completed the sale within 2 months, and they had 8,000 seats. And so it's, again, very easy to trial and for the customer to see value, and very easy to close those deals.
And as far as the trial, our partners love a trial, because I feel that is the only way that a partner can really get that hands-on knowledge. And once it makes for an easier sale, as you mentioned, once they've been able to try it in their environment and then roll it over. We've had very positive response from Umbrella, our Umbrella POV trials. So I can definitely understand, and the need for trials on our end is definitely there. So how would a partner go about acquiring a trial for Cloud Mailbox?
Cloud Mailbox is very easy to trial. You can simply go to a web link to fill out a form, and we automatically provision it and send you all the information you need to get going. As I mentioned before, it takes about 5 minutes to actually execute that setup and start seeing traffic come into your system. The best part of all that is you don't have to touch your existing mail flow whatsoever. So it's really a no-risk trial. We offer it up for free for 30 days, and at the end of that, you can generate an impact report which shows you everything that we caught that Microsoft might have missed, and also other information about threats that have come in and who's being targeted, and whether people are actually forwarding things through internally. You can see that as well.
That's amazing. So the partner is able, once they're trialing the product or demoing the product, they are able to print out, as you mentioned, an impact report, so they can review that with their client to show them.
Today the customer has to print. Yes. Today the customer has to print that out and do that. We don't provide the partner access to their own the customer's environment, but the customer, it's the impact reports in one of the tabs. There's only 2 or 3 tabs on the top, and it's among the top there. And so you just click to it. It automatically populates with the latest 30 days of data, and you have your report.
Okay, and similar to Umbrella, is Cisco looking to go down the road of having a particular console that partners are able to run trials for their end customers on their own, if they can meet those requirements?
Okay.
So you're referring to the Umbrella Partner Console, and that's being expanded to be the Security Partner Console. And Cloud Mailbox is among the first products to be integrated on that. We expect that to occur sometime before the end of the year, probably around the November, December timeframe, to get that piece in. But in the meantime, you can just easily do the web requests, and get your trial going.
That's great. I know that we do have a little demo that we will be showing of the product, a little quick demo, so partners are able to see how quickly it is to deploy secure Mailbox.
Yeah, why don't we have Greg show us how to set up Cloud Mailbox now?
Hi, this is Greg Barnes. I'm technical marketing engineer for Cisco Systems with the email security business unit, and today I'm going to walk you through a quick demo of Cisco's Secure Email Cloud Mailbox. As you see when you first log in, it's a very simple and intuitive user interface just to go ahead and take command of your mailbox. You can start off right off the bat if you wanted to search in a URL or a subject or a recipient. Any of that metadata that we create that you can quickly look up that has been indexed in our environment, you can go ahead and search for that. So if your end user has come to you and come to you with a problematic URL, obviously we've indexed that. We can go ahead and look for that in our tenant, our environment. We could get off and going. As you can see at the bottom, we have all of the messages that have been scanned, including with our various engines or really the outcomes of those engines. So including up into the gray mail for just general unwanted mail. So I'm going to start you off with showing you how simple the configuration is in Cloud Mailbox. So as you can see, as we've gone into the settings, it's very straightforward as well. We have our permissions mode, and when we discuss permissions, it's really the permissions you're giving to Cisco in your Microsoft 365 tenant. So you can do audit or audit with enforcement. In this case, we usually suggest doing audit with enforcement, even if you do turn off automated remediation down here. So you can actually do more of a search and remediate, and I'll show you that a little bit later in the demo, where we can actually hunt around for messages that may have gotten in our tenant, particularly after a user has come to us and maybe it wasn't malicious in the first spot, but we do still want to pull all of those emails out, and it's a very fast tool to go ahead and get that done. We see our remediation actions here in the lower left-hand corner. In the actions we want to take, depending on the conviction that Cisco Talos has given us. And if we wanted to, for whatever whitelist, a message from a directional point of view or an attachment, maybe we don't want to send our internal attachments for dynamic final analysis, we could go ahead and do that. And then obviously if we had added domains to our tenant, we could go ahead and update and import that as well. One of the things you'll actually see here, if I go in and change my permissions, it's going to kick off the wizard for me to go ahead and get started. And I just wanted to show you this just to show you how easy it is to go ahead and get going with Cloud Mailbox. So this is going to be what you're going to see when you first log into Cloud Mailbox. You're going to select the permissions. Again, that's audit or audit with enforcement. In fact, here I actually want to stay with audit enforcement. I just really wanted to show you this workflow so you would see what a new user or new administrator would actually get. And then the last step, which I'm not really going to cover, is going into your Microsoft 365 tenant and setting up that journaling rule. And you can get really granular with the journaling rule that you want to set up in Cloud Mailbox. If you just wanted to send a subset of users to Cloud Mailbox, you could go ahead and do that. And then Microsoft, you're basically going to input something that looks like an email address, and it's going to give us that connection, right? So if we go ahead and connect to this Microsoft 365 tenant, it's going to go ahead and ask me for my ID and ask me for those permissions. So with that, that's the configuration. I'm not going to step through the final steps because in this demo environment, I don't want to change it up too much. But now we'll actually go ahead and pivot into those messages that we actually want to remediate, which is kind of the core use case when we're talking about Cloud Mailbox and the benefits of how fast we can actually make changes our environment compared to those native Microsoft tools. So here I am in the environment. Again, we're going to have that search box where you can actually search right off the get-go if you wanted to, just like you could do in that home page. And remember, we've got about 90 days worth of data here. We have a heavy use of iconography. So here I can very quickly actually see that it had a link. If it actually had an attachment, it would tell me that right off this front page, as well as the actions that it took. Now, if I were to remediate that myself, it would give me a different icon. But in this case, our automated system had used this action. So another thing I wanted to show you here is what we call our impact report. So from an impact report point of view, this is just at a high level, all of the messages that we have blocked and how that is relevant to you and who are your high value targets or the people that are actually getting targeted the most. We can very quickly log in and see that all from one place. And obviously we can actually see the messages that were blocked, above and beyond those default Microsoft blocking verdicts. So now that I've shown you the impact report, let's go pivot back to our messages. And I want to show you one of the key differentiators for Cloud Mailbox because of the way that we index all that mail and how quickly we are able to search it instead of having to go out and query all of those mailboxes, right? We're querying this metadata that we've actually created. So now I actually see, so I had an end user complain about this subject, and they were seeing some really weird things. I saw whether I was using SecureX or Cloud Mailbox, that this indeed was problematic. Now I want to see everywhere that this message went. And we can do that quickly by looking at this conversation view, right? So this dark or light blue, I should say, that just tells us the message that I actually started off with. But let's say I wanted to go back in time to see where this message was created and any fork that it possibly had. I can go ahead and do that. And at some point in time, there was an account takeover. This user went tacked on to an existing thread, and then obviously he sent a couple of phishing emails as well as some malware. So if we wanted to go ahead and remediate that very quickly, we could go ahead and do that. Obviously the system has already remediated some of these emails, but maybe we want to remove this from our environment. So the last thing I wanted to show you here is how easy it is to actually remediate a message. I've shown you earlier this message point of view where we can actually look at all the messages and we could go ahead and search in that search box. If you wanted to get a little bit more granular, obviously I've expanded it out for that refined search. Obviously I can also go ahead and toggle that off as well. But let's say I was really sick of these joke a day, or maybe I thought that zombies or zombizoids were something not particularly I want. It really is just as easy as this to go ahead, click on it, and I'm actually marking this as gray mail. But maybe I don't want to reclassify it at all, or I could mark it as neutral, or just keep the current classification so it gives you that instant feedback into Talos. In this example, I'm going to go ahead and keep the current classification, but it also has now moved it into the junk folder. So even if I wanted to do from that conversation point of view, I wanted to actually remediate all of those emails instantly, I could have gone ahead and done that. With that, that's all I have for the demo. I thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy your day.
That was awesome. Thank you, Greg. That demo really showed the power of what Cloud Mailbox is capable of. I know that our partners are going to be pretty excited about this product. As I said, the market really, really needs something, especially from a vendor, a trusted vendor such as Cisco. So I'm very excited that this has come on board. I really thank you for being here today and going through this with us and laying out and providing all of this information. And I know our customers will too. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. The pleasure was all mine. I look forward to working with you guys more.
Thank you for that presentation, Colleen, Rob, and George. That was a great presentation, great demo of the Cloud Mailbox. And with that, I would like to welcome in live Colleen and Rob from Cisco. Guys, thank you for joining us today.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi, Chris.
Again, great presentation. Rob also, during the presentation, ended it. I can just call it Cloud Mailbox. Fantastic. I was trying to come up with a real cool real cool thing, but Cloud Mailbox is way easier. You couldn't see on my notes I was scribbling out like 14 lines of text.
I think we
It was a new name change, and it's a new name change from the branding department. So you can either say Cisco Secure Email Cloud Mailbox or just say Cloud Mailbox.
Cloud Mailbox works for me.
Very straightforward.
So with that, guys, we're gonna open it up to Q&A. We've got tons of questions that have already come in, so I want to kind of just start flowing through these as we can. If you guys have any questions throughout this entire Q&A process, please feel free to jump in. We're trying to make this as much as a discussion with you guys as possible. But to start, the first question we got was, does Cisco have any promotions or incentives for Cloud Mailbox?
Yeah, actually we do. Cloud Mailbox is eligible for the Cisco Secure, the Security Scale Play, as well as the Secure Remote Worker programs. And we also just introduced a Shogun's rewards. If you get a trial in place, you get and register it with us, you get 20,000 Shogun points. If that trial turns to a sale in the same quarter, you get to double it. And that's just for a $5,000 deal. And you can get all the way up to 150,000 points depending on the size of the deal. And then I should say that in the Secure Scale Play, the discounts in Cloud Mailbox are up to 20%, and in Secure Remote Worker, the discount's 30% if you've paired it with the purchase of WebEx. So those are out there. Those programs are being renewed for next year, and we just got approval for the Shogun incentives to start next month, or in the quarter of August.
Awesome. The next question I got was, where have you seen success with Cloud Mailbox? We've got a wide variety of resellers on this call that's serving everything from the mom and pops to larger corporations. Where have you seen the most success?
Well, it's really up and down the scale. Most of our customers are the smaller customers, but most of the revenue and mailboxes that we're protecting are in commercial size and enterprise on up. We're won a deal last quarter with 8,000 users. We're doing a deal this quarter with 50,000 users, and then we also have our ongoing sales with the SMB market, as we mentioned before. So it's doing great.
Quite well.
It scales fine. We're really reliant on Microsoft handing us the messages, and that's it. And then we have a cloud native architecture underneath that automatically scales. And that's partly why you see that search so well. It's the indexing, and then we've got it built out so that it'll continue to search that fast even as we grow.
Cool. Rodney asked, can Cloud Mailbox be used as a standalone?
Not really. It plugs directly into the Microsoft environment. And what we do is, the setup really involves is turning on journaling. And journaling was originally meant for archival purposes, for compliance, legal compliance. But the rule around journaling for archives is that it has to be the original form of the message. So we're able to see the actual message as it's delivered to the mailbox. But we're only integrated into Microsoft 365. We are looking at integrating to the Google systems, but we have not started on that as yet.
Speaking of that and kind of other use cases, Jerome asked, is it possible to use Cisco Cloud Mailbox outside of Office 365? You already talked about that a little bit, but his example is his customer has a Linux/web portal email set up currently. Can Cloud Mailbox support that without Office 365?
No, we're only integrated to the Microsoft Graph APIs at this time.
So I'll add a follow-up question there. Aside from that, what do you recommend in that use case if they're not using Office 365 yet?
Well, we have our Cloud Email Gateway that is an extremely robust and flexible platform for handling your email and managing your email security. And that has some extra controls like how to tune the efficacy and tune which engines you're going to use and things like that. So it's an extremely powerful email platform, security platform.
Jerome had one more question to ask as well. He was asking how to deal with customers who are receiving warnings from their identity protection software that their email box is for sale on the dark web. That's how to deal with that. I guess that's a kind of a loaded question there.
Well, I think that's really talking about a specific type of fraud email coming in, which is one of the tests that we do that our Talus engine does in the back end. Right now, we just classify things as phish or malware, but you will see that definition expand out, so we'll identify whether it was a scam, and that's already detected, and it'll just show up as a phish today.
Colleen, did you have something you wanted to add there?
No, I was just agreeing with Rob.
It's a safe bet. It's a safe bet.
Yeah.
When in doubt, when I'm in doubt, I just agree with Rob as well. And it's gotten me this far in my career. So, does the conversation
with me? Yes.
Right, exactly. Does the conversation tracking feature work with emails after they've left the organization? If so, what kind of information can you get from an email after it's left?
When that email leaves the organization, you'll see that email listed in the outbound flow. Once it's off the system, I've not seen a system that can go beyond that. But you know where it went to, and you can go warn that entity if you think that it's a particular risk to them.
And conversely, and I noticed this the time we were watching the demo. It looks like you could back up. How far can you back up prior to the email coming into the organization? So if it was sent to someone else and then that person forwarded it to you, can you see where it came before, like to the person beforehand, or is it just when it hits?
Yes.
Hits the first time.
So what we do is we track the threading there. So if you happen to search, let's say the email came in and it was clean, but then we did a retroactive detection and found he's forwarded it on. And if the first one that you happen to find was the third forward in the stream, you can click forward and backwards to see where it originated and actually came in the system, and to where all the mailboxes or endpoints that it reached to complete your investigation. So if someone sent a malware around, you could now get over on your endpoint protection and make sure those systems have not been infected with that malware.
That's awesome. I'm a sucker for those kind of flowchart type. It's almost like the pegboard where you've got the email and the strings going down to the next place and the next place. So to see that interface in this dashboard, and to also kind of see that it's not just giving you data. You can also act on each one of those dots, and if you, like you said, you can go out and warn people after it's left the organization. That's an incredibly powerful tool. For those of you watching, go ahead. Sure, go ahead, Colleen, real quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that, as Rob said, having that retrospection is one of the best things, especially if you're working in a lean IT environment and you don't have the staffing to investigate a lot of these threats coming into your environment. That visibility is key to you remediating and blocking anything that's coming into your environment that may be, hazardous and waste productivity time. So it's giving you back that time as well to be productive in other areas.
Yeah, that's incredibly important because as we all know, all of our resellers, all the people that we talk to have a wide, large IT staff at their disposal. It's not just one person. Mm-hmm. There's always multiple people. That's not the case. All of you know our resources are limited, so anything that can help us is greatly appreciated, and I think this really helps. I will say for those who are watching live, we are starting to push out some poll questions. If you have a moment, please take a chance and go ahead and answer those. Again, any of your feedback, anything information you guys can give us can help us with the next training and make sure you guys are getting training that is both relevant and pertinent to your business. But kind of continuing on that thread of remediation, there was a question in there: is how does a partner perform remediation if they do not have access to the trial data? So I'm guessing this is a question that is revolving around the customer has trial, was in the trial, it expires, they decide to get it, but they need to now go back and do remediation on something that they saw in the trial. Is that possible?
Well, there's a lot of ways to interpret that, and so I'll go with yours first, and then I'll go with mine.
Okay. That's always the problem. It's like, how do I interpret
when,
this question?
yes. So when you are running a trial on the Mail MS365 environment, if you decide to purchase, all we do is update the license. All the data that you've collected in the trial period stays in the system. And so there's really, when going from trial to paid, there's literally no bump in the road there at all. And we store the data back 90 days. The metadata about the messages goes back 90 days. Mm-hmm. And that's how we keep the size of things manageable. But we found that most people don't look more than 30 days back most of the time. And occasionally you need to go back about 2 months. So 90 days is plenty there.
Yeah, if you've wasted 90 days to act on something, so it's a little bit
exactly.
slow.
Well, I had some customers talk about where they have people that do these 4-week deployments at a time. Mm-hmm. Oil workers and firefighters do this. And so they will be 4 weeks without their email, and then they'll be catching up. And so things can, and if they have a vacation after that, they can be catching up over 6 or 8 weeks worth of time. And then they might say, oh, I think this is a fish. So you can go back there and take care of that. And the 90 days seems to cover everybody. Now, the other, I think, let me see if I can see that message. I don't. The other aspect of that message or that question, I think was on, it was, can you reread it, please?
Yeah, I can bring it back for you.
Just reread it.
It does the, now I have to find it. That's what happens when I move too quick. How does the partner perform remediation if we do not have access to the trial data?
Right. So today we do not have the capability to put the partner into the trial. The partner may ask the customer to create an account for them, and we do that a lot actually, so we can get in there and help them look at the data and things like that. But I think that question is asking a bigger question of, if you're a service provider, can you use Cloud Mailbox and manage it on behalf of the customer? Today, you would simply provision the account. You could either provision the partner as the one of the administrators when you make the request, or you can go to the customer and have them give you an account. We will be adding the capability to log in on behalf of the customer and support service providers, but that works a little bit further out. So right now the workaround really is to, I've seen one partner that are doing it. They actually now, every time they request a trial, the same person requests it and becomes their super admin for that account. Okay. And there's a couple caveats that you should check with support if you're going to do that, but it's otherwise a very straightforward process.
So there's no, if you're an MSP out there and you're deploying this for a variety of different customers, there's no single dashboard you can log into and see all of your customers. You're logging into each one individually based on whether they've given you access or not. Yeah,
that's correct. We do want to get to that, but the product's just under a year old, and you can imagine all the things that we want to do to it. And so that is one of them, and we are researching it, but it's some time out at this point, as best I can say.
Roadmaps are great. It's on the roadmap is the answer to that question. Next up, does Cloud Mailbox work with SecurityX?
Yeah, so SecureX is a Cisco piece that ties all our different security products together. And we are working on the SecureX integration today, and I expect that to be available in September. And what that does is, if you look at a message and say, oh, there's a bad link in there, you can pivot on that link and send it to this what's called the SecureX ribbon and send it across to your web service, and then go look on that web service to see if anyone else has clicked on that link. And same with malware. If you see malware, you can push in the SHA-256 hash or other data about the malware, and then send that off to your endpoint system and go search every endpoint to see that it's not infected with that malware. And so what that does, SecureX does for us, is really put your remediation on steroids, really, because now you're automating the interactions between your different systems. And when you're trying to do things like containment, that is really, this speeds that process up quite a bit, allowing you to search others through other systems for something that came through email, or vice versa. You could have discover a piece of malware on an endpoint and then go search every email for that SHA-256 and see if which email it might have come in on.
That's amazing that you can with that amount of functionality.
And just to add a little bit to the SecureX conversation, we do utilize that. D&H does provide partners, Cisco partners or just D&H partners in general that are interested in utilizing Cisco products. We do offer every quarter a threat hunting workshop where we play in the SecureX space. So you get a chance to get hands-on labbing within SecureX, and as Rob mentioned, you can put any of your current Cisco products within SecureX and remediate from there. So it's a really great tool, and Cisco is always adding different features to that tool every quarter or so often. So they're really building it out. So any partners that do utilize any security products currently right now, whether it's the firewalls or AMP for endpoints or Umbrella, you can get an instance of SecureX because it is free. And we all like free. We all like free. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish up.
Yeah, no, I was just saying we all like free. And I think a lot of partners, when they see the SecureX messaging, they think that it's another cost add-on that they would need in order to get that visibility. But it is a free tool that they can utilize. And they have playbooks within SecureX, whereas, as we mentioned before, any lean IT organizations that are looking to say, okay, Chris and I work at the same company. If Chris is on first shift and he makes a change to something that has come in, I come in on the back end and I see what Chris has done, and I can edit that playbook and remediate or do whatever I have to do on that end too. So it's an awesome tool.
Cool. Where
I'll also mention.
Go ahead. You can go ahead.
Sure. I just want to mention one thing with that. So yes, it's free. It really does make the sum of the parts the whole bigger than the individual parts, because it makes those things work together faster. The other thing I wanted to mention is this is a great way. If you have AMP for endpoint and you get them doing SecureX, by the way, there's incentives for getting a SecureX installed. But if you have them on SecureX, now email becomes a piece just to add in, just to plug into that, or vice versa. You can use email to establish it. And the whole point of it is so you can sell bundles of multiple security products like the firewall and endpoint, and then you're on an EA license or an enterprise agreement, and there's additional discounts associated with that as well.
Remember back before the pandemic when we're all in person and it was much harder for me to talk over people? My question was for you, Colleen. You talked about this great training that is available to our partners. Where can our partners go to get a little bit more information on that training workshop?
They can contact us via Cisco support at dnh.com. And I'd be happy to send them that information. Or we have the Driven site. I can definitely provide them with the link to Driven where they can register.
Awesome. We just finished pushing out another poll question. We're asking the people that are on with us if they're currently offering their clients email security products as part of their portfolio. It's 60-40, 60% yes, 40% haven't. And if you haven't, you're clearly interested in it. And if this is a product that's interesting to you and you need more information after we get off, dnh.com/Cisco or dnh.ca.cisco. We can get you any information you need. That trial is available for free as well. We will do everything we can to help you get that number from 40% down to closer to 1%, what I'd be comfortable with. I don't know about you guys.
Absolutely, because I mean, with email, as the messaging in our broadcast stated, email is the number one vector within your organization that are susceptible to threats. So to have a product like Cisco Secure Mailbox as an offering, whereas the only thing that we had in our line site was the enterprise level product where you had to purchase 100 licensing, that didn't quite fit into our customer space. If you have a customer base of at max 25 users, you're not going to really want to buy into 100 license space. So I think this is a great offering that Cisco has come out with to really meet the expectations of our smaller business partners. So yeah, we need to get that 40% onboarded.
Mhm.
Any way you would like me to help with that, I will do. I see a question out there that says, can I buy this product bundled with 365 from D&H and bundle it with Microsoft 365? So that's a question for you. And before you answer, I have to tell you one thing. We actually changed the licensing now. You can license Mailbox all the way down to a single seat license so that you can do that bundling.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Colleen, you want to take a swing at that question?
Support that bundle?
Cloud team. Yeah, absolutely. We're working on the bundling with the 365 and Secure Mailbox. We haven't gotten that up on the cloud platform yet, but it should be soon, and we'll definitely let our partners know about that. But Secure Mailbox, the product in itself, is available on our cloud platform, and our cloud team is available and ready to answer any questions that our partners may have to onboard them to the cloud platform so they can purchase. So they don't technically have to come through our Cisco desk personally. They can go through our cloud team as well, and they'll be happy to help them with onboarding or purchasing.
Awesome. We're getting close to the top of the hour here. I'm going to do one last call for any questions that you guys might have as we go through these final couple questions we have in the can. Please feel free to ask any remaining questions you might have right now before we sign off at the top of the hour here. Next question, does Cloud Mailbox integrate with dual multi-factor authentication? Duo, excuse me.
Yeah,
I should know how to say Duo. I use it every day at this point.
Exactly. In fact, I do too, because it's how we protect our own instances of Cloud Mailbox. If you're logging into our beta system.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're logging in to our beta systems, that you're using MFA, and the Duo system, they have instructions on how to actually set it up to work with Cloud Mailbox. And if you're having trouble finding that, let me know and I'll track it down for you. But that's available, absolutely.
And if you're looking for more information on Duo, I'm just going to plug your webcast, your press webcast, Colleen, from about a year ago.
Sure.
That's a great resource to get more information on Duo. Like I said, it's a product that we here at D&H use because it's one of the best multi-factor authentication products available. dnh.com/solutionslab, dnh.ca/solutionslab. That webcast is available for you. Colleen, what else you have to add?
No, I was just going to say that having Duo as that middleman to make sure that you're authenticating the right users and doing that check is a great way to make sure that you're utilizing all the tools at your advantage to protect your network. And the thing to remember about Cisco that I like the direction that Cisco is heading into is that all their products work in tandem with each other. So, and Cisco is definitely playing with other vendors as well. You know, we're playing nice with Microsoft, opening the doors for a lot of, relationships and information, because that's the only way that we're going to beat these threats out here that's coming at us,
Yeah. Stephanie had a good question, and it was a question that I was going to ask, and it left my hat, so I'm glad she reminded me. For the customers that are already using M365, what type of pricing structure will they be looking at for the cloud mailboxes? Is it per account, per user? What are we looking at?
Well,
It's
Cloud Mailbox is a per user license, and I believe, I'm not sure what the cost is. We can certainly assist if she wants to reach out to us. We can
Yeah.
certainly provide her with a preliminary estimate of what her organization would be looking at in terms of pricing.
Rob?
I would just comment that the pricing starts around right at $2 a mailbox. That's the list price, and then we work down on volumes from there. And then it really just depends on the volumes and what program you might be discounting through. There's a lot of options out there for that.
That's not hateful, considering the amount of money you could lose without having something like this. That's not even, I don't even know why we're having this discussion. People go get it. why are we even talking about
this?
Less
than a Starbucks coffee.
Yes. For less than a Starbucks coffee a month, you can have the added security.
Exactly.
Does Cloud Mailbox use ThreatGrid to analyze files for malware?
Yes, it uses the exact same logic as ThreatGrid, and then so ThreatGrid has a couple layers. One is to do pre-processing on it, and then if it decides it doesn't know enough about the file, it will send it to the sandbox. We do that pre-processing in the cloud, and if it doesn't pass those tests, we will send that file to ThreatGrid sandbox. Great thing about Cloud Mailbox is ThreatGrid's unlimited. You can do as many submissions as you want through Cloud Mailbox today.
Awesome. Well, I think we have hit the bottom of the question bin, and we're at the top of the hour. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Rob, thank you so much for all the invaluable information you've given today. You have certainly made me a believer, and I think you got a lot of people on this call interested as well. Colleen, it's always fantastic to join you for a webcast. You bring some of the best guests from Cisco, and Rob's at least in top three. He's top three.
Top three.
Top three.
You see, Rob?
I don't want his ego to get too big. Then he won't come back. I need to give him something
then he won't.
What the next time there's
I'm more than happy to come back, and we do workshops with partners. We can set up some workshops and walk through in about an hour and a half, soup to nuts, how you sell, how you trial, how you win with Cloud Mailbox.
Yeah, this is certainly something. Certainly something that's worth a trial, especially with how easy it is to set up. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. If you guys missed any part of this presentation, or you want to watch parts of it again, it will be available on demand early next week. That is on dnh.com/solutionslab, or the link that you use to register for this webcast will also have that available for 30 days. If you have any questions after we're done here today, you're watching this on demand, you have some questions, you can go ahead and go to dnh.com/Cisco or dnh.ca/Cisco, depending on where you are, and reach out to the Cisco team and ask your questions. We have a number of different broadcasts that are coming up that could interest you, specifically around security as well. On August 10th, we have Acroniston. They're going to be talking about their cyber protection security solution. Should be a great discussion as well. I look forward to that one. That again is August 10th. Registration is available for that today at dnh.com/solutionslab. DNH TV has a esports broadcast coming up on August 17th. I don't know if registration information is out for that, but check back in with us closer to the 17th. We'll have a great discussion about components in esports. And coming up in September, we do have our Threadcast. We'll have more information on how to register for that shortly, but make sure you pin it to your calendar. We're going to be going through the month of September, so it should be exciting. But with that, Colleen, Rob, again, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
You too. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.